Hello and welcome to my channel. If you'd like to come to my live Sunday night meetings or have a private session with me, you can subscribe via my website. What's coming to me to say to start with, I remember that someone asked me a little while ago why I do this, and the usual non-dual answer is I'm not. Yeah. Anyway, I do it for a reason, and there's a few reasons. Is that it's the most fascinating thing. I know you've probably heard me say it loads of times, that life is fascinating. This, being here, being what it is, coming out of goodness knows where, being goodness knows what, is fascinating. And in that leaving of the story of Lisa, which was so preciously held onto as a reality, when that was revealed as a load of nonsense, there's a certain freedom is here. A certain freedom, I don't want to say it's freedom with a capital F, but a certain freedom is here where I don't adhere to anything. I don't, and if I do, I find out quite quickly if I'm adhering to something or not. Hi, Maddie. I don't have any beliefs, because to believe something, it means you don't know. To not know is okay, but I don't believe in anything. But I'm open to all possibilities, which is different. That's different. This to me is a, hi Melanie, this to me is a really unknown realm or phenomenon. It's a really mysterious thing, and it has no rules by the looks of it, because every rule that I look at seems to disintegrate on inspection. So why I do this is because it's really beautiful. I'm actually there's something in this message that which is from Dorothea. Where does she say it? It just reminded me of one of the things she asked, which I will go back to. I'll read it later. I can't find it. And often, obviously, people have been with me for a while. I've seen that I do deconstruct. She said something about deconstruction. I do deconstruct everything. And it's not to pull apart. It's to pull apart these things that make us feel not free. That's what it's for. That's what I do. Because I've found that it really has enlivened me. It really has made my life much more magical and mystical, because there's no ground of rules to stand on. And that's why I do it, because I love it. And I love to deconstruct everything. But it doesn't mean that we're left with nothing. Far from it. I'm no expert on everybody and what they're experiencing. There's no rules to the game. But I have found that with people who've been with me, that deconstruction of their firmly held beliefs, that they have to abide by certain principles because they will be free once they abide by them. On closer examination of those principles tend to be, really nothing of any substance. They just don't have any substance. And it's what causes most people I come across to feel pretty miserable. And, in ideologies such as non-duality and all of them, there's a real competitiveness there. And I've seen it, and it really causes pain. So I've had to, I couldn't help it. I've had to deconstruct all that, to see what lies at the bottom of those ideologies and there's nothing really there. Oh, hi, Dietrich. Thank you. There's nothing really there. But what is here is, well, it's different for everybody, I'm assuming. I don't really know. Once that deconstruction is complete and you find yourself like, well, now what? Well, now everything. Now there's no end to the possibilities. Now there's no end to the openness. You don't have to doggedly follow this and that. I, as a personality, am really very open. I like to explore all sorts of strange avenues, as friends know that, they know that of me. I don't tend to go into those subjects because they're not really relevant, and there's better places to go for all these other different subjects, not here. So I'm going to read. She says, I've been pondering and wondering about a lot recently. What I've been pondering and wondering about a lot recently is, why do away with understanding? I think that's in response to my beliefs or stories that serve us, that are for our individual good. Why deconstruct it all? The thing is to examine is, are those beliefs and stories good for the individual? If they are, then that's great, because the good is good, right? The good is good. To feel good is the whole point of what we're doing here. Obviously, we can't maintain it all the time. And also to feel bad is like, oh, it's not so bad. Because it just comes and goes. And we recognize that like, shit happens, shit happens, but it isn't like the end of the world. It is what happens, and most of us probably recognize that passes by, so back to it. Why deconstruct it all? Well, I said that in the introduction, didn't I? But to deconstruct, because nobody wants to be kept in the dark, do they? Really? I mean, who really wants to be kept in the dark? To be living according to a belief or a pattern which isn't their own, which is someone else's structure that we've somehow bought into, that tells us you're wrong and you're not there yet, and you're still a me, or you're a lower self, or you're a whatever, all these I would call it name calling, actually. It's a kind of name calling, isn't it? It's just like, I find it quite childish, really, when I look at it. So that's why I deconstruct. I'm not a person who likes to be in the dark. I don't like to be taken for a ride and lied to. And I don't think most people do. And I think that most people who like the way that I speak also are in the process of deconstructing that which has become frustrating and isn't really them. It isn't really them. And it's wonderful when all this deconstruction happens, because at the base of it, your character can shine through freely, and there's no ownership over that character. I have a character. I can't see my own character, of course. You can't look at your own character in a way, but I know that it has propensities and preferences. And without this kind of idea that I have to maneuver through this ideology, which I'm adhering to in order to become free, this character, when that's gone, this character can shine forth and just do what it wants to do without any interference from doctrine.